Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Home Title Lock. Make sure you go to HometitleLock.com using promo code TIM250. You can click on the link in the description. Did you know scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? Honestly, when I bought my first house, I thought it was very strange how simple the process was. And they were like, this little piece of paper. The FBI calls it house stealing. It's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Here's how it works. Criminals will forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, and file it with your local recorder's office. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral and even sell the property behind your back. You won't even know it's happening until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. So let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your home title? If you're like me, the answer is never. Well, to be honest, when we got the notification Home Title Lock was sponsoring, I was like, we should probably look into that. And shout out to Home Title Lock. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you'll get. You'll get immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes. And if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. Here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and access to your personal title report. A $250 value for signing up. Once again, go to HometitleLock.com. Use promo code TIM250 or click the link in the description below. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code TIM250. Once again, the link is in the description. And get that protection and peace of mind you deserve. And of course, we are. It is an honor and a privilege. Home Title Lock, thank you for sponsoring the show. From ABC News, Trump announces 25% tariffs on imported cars, ratcheting up global trade war. They say that major stock indexes closed down on Wednesday. I love that because it's not related to the news, but the corporate press always has to make sure that everything Trump does is wrong. So they're going to include that subheader. Quote, I think our automobile industry will flourish like it hasn't before, Trump said. The auto tariffs are set to target a sector that employs more than 1 million U.S. workers and relies on a supply chain closely intertwined with Mexico and Canada. Tariffs placed on the auto industry risk raising car prices for U.S. consumers, experts previously told ABC News. I despise these people so much. I don't want to start swearing right away, but I could not hate the corporate press more. I could not hate them more. This is not a news story. This is an opinion piece meant to make you hate Donald Trump. A news story would say Trump announces 25% tariffs on imported cars. Here's a quote. End of story. Instead, every opportunity they get, they inject some stupid nonsense about how Trump is bad, and it's bad for you. The reality is this is good for you. It's good news. It's going to make your cars cheaper. It's going to give people jobs in this country, and it's going to cut off the freeloaders who've been mooching off us. Man, the corporate press really gets me going. But to be fair, I'm the one who chose that news story.
So they're saying that all imports, like with steel or rubber or anything that are coming from other countries, are now going to be charged. Is that what this, like, what's going to get tariffed here?
The cars.
The cars themselves.
The cars themselves. So the idea is, let's take a foreign car manufacturer. I'll use a random one. We'll just make up a fake one. We'll call it Crossland Cars. Okay. And they manufacture in China. And the company has a base of operations in the U.S. They make their cars in China, ship them here, import them, and then sell them to the American people. So they're using slave labor in China to make the car. Slave labor, like they're getting paid nothing. They have no health benefits. There's smog and smut everywhere. And they're walking off their buildings in mass suicide. Foxconn, you get the point. You can't compete. The American worker can't compete with that. So these companies are like, we pay $5 an hour. If we were going to hire these people in America, we have to pay them 50. It's too expensive. Trump says we put a tariff on those cars. As soon as if that company tries to bring those cars in, they're going to have to pay 25% extra to import it. So that's the American base of operation paying for it to come in. But these are companies operating in foreign countries effectively, selling to the American worker, extracting our labor force and our manufacturing base. What happens now is this 25% tariff will do two things. American auto manufacturers now get an opportunity to compete. They now have a 25% margin to work with because they're going to say anything you make your car for is going to be more expensive by virtue of the tariff. So if we can't lower our prices below a certain amount, so put it this way. Let's say a Chinese car costs 10 grand. An American car costs 15. The American car manufacturer says it's impossible to get that cost lower. By putting a tariff on those cars, maybe not 1,500, but let's say let's say $12.50. It now evens the playing field for the auto manufacturer in the U.S. because the Chinese manufacturer has to increase their cost to offset the cost of the tariffs coming in. They claim the cost is to you, but when it allows American companies to compete, this actually can bring prices down because the foreign manufacturers are forced to lower their prices. More importantly, it will create more economic activity, more people who have work. There will be a greater volume of cars sold from the United States with more people who have jobs. That's how costs come down. They're lying to you. They are evil, and they want to destroy this country's working class.
And President Trump, I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and he admitted what he would rather have of the two is not the tariffs if it would simply just produce more jobs here. In other words, if both sides drop the tariffs because they've been tariffing us without us equally tariffing them back, that would be fine if they would drop the tariffs and just have more cars built here. He said he'd rather have the jobs here than the money, but he said the money's good too.
Cheryl, do you have the sense that if Trump's plan it works out, do you think that the effect is going to be, that there will be a return of jobs, or do you think that it's going to be something? Do you think it's going to end up actually kind of harpooning the economy?
Well, I'm not an economist, but we already have trillions of dollars of promised economic activity here in this country since Trump was elected as a result in part of the tariffs, maybe not entirely. Some of it is simply because he got elected and they see a better environment. But there is some direct activity linked to the tariff announcements already, which is what he predicted. I don't see how that's a bad thing. Now, one thing I questioned him about, is there going to be a period of pain in the short term because there will be belt tightening that has to be done or an immediate impact before the job and impact is felt here because it's going to take time to build factories and so on. He pushed back on that and said, no, he thinks that the economic benefit will be felt almost immediately because even as they're building the plants, that starts almost right away.
That was actually going to be a follow-up. Do you think that the economic activity that's going to be spurred, do you think that is going to take effect in time to protect the Republicans in the midterms?
Gosh, that's a great question. No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
They're looking at Chinese company wants to sell in the U.S., so they're going to have to either raise their prices, which means that American car companies are going to be relatively cheaper, which means they're going to get money, and then that's going to enhance American companies. Then they'll hire more people, build more plants. That's going to happen over time. Initially, China is going to be like, well, if we stop shipping our cars over the U.S. because they're screwing us with tariffs, we lose $700 billion. If we just now charge more and we have to eat that cost in loss or in expenditure, we'll make $500 billion. So it's
also consider this. You're right, but also consider this. Let's say a car costs $20,000 in the United States and their margin is 10%, and China makes a car for $15,000, sells it here for $20,000, matching the market price of American-made cars. They get a massive margin where they're extracting profit by using cheap labor. Putting that tariff on it will strip their profit margins down.
I guess there's a concern that if the Chinese manufacturers raise their prices to keep up with tariffs, then the American companies will also raise their prices to keep up with because they can.
Other way around.
What?
The foreign companies will not be able to compete with cheaper American products. So the idea with 25% tariff is that the foreign product needs to cost more than the American product. And then that basically they're going to have to drop their prices to compete with us. So if it ends up costing them more to make it, they're not going to raise their prices. This is what the left keeps saying. They're just going to raise the prices and pass it to the consumer. No, it isn't. Take a look at our coffee company. So if we have Kona coffee made in Hawaii, and it's $10 a bag, and then someone imports from somewhere else for $8 a bag and makes a $2 profit, they still have to compete with our cost. So if their price goes up from the tariffs, they either stop and we sell all American, or they have to keep their prices down somehow to compete with the American costs that are already low.
And they won't stop. It's a huge, huge sector of their economy, I imagine. They won't stop. They have to continue to compete. Like economics, it's not about your emotions.
I got to be honest. I don't even care if the cars end up costing more money. You know why? Because this just means we're going to get our auto manufacturing base back in Indiana and Michigan and Ohio. And it means that, if remember the documentary from the 90s from Michael Moore about the shuttering of these auto plants?
Yep.
What happened to those people? Now they're sitting here screaming that Donald Trump's the bad guy when he's trying to bring back that middle-class life Americans used to enjoy. Now you've got Gen Z. They can't afford a place to live. They can't find any jobs. The jobs they can find pay dirt. Imagine this, Gen Z. Donald Trump does this. Next thing you know, an ad pops up auto manufacturing job paying $60,000 a year, entry level, or 40, 50,000 entry level. Now you have a chance to get these jobs. It's going to create competition in the American market. It's going to create opportunity for Americans to have these jobs. Trump's deportation, all of this combined is going to raise the standard of living for the American people.
I feel like it's also a time in history when it's a good time to revitalize your national industry because of the materials revolution we're going through with like subatomic, discoveries, graphene, obviously, hydrogen fuel. Like we could really, I mean, even a new car company and a new American car company that is like hydrogen, graphene based, if they could get the cost low, that's the opportunity that we have right now.
Here's a problem, though, that I think you guys talked about before we went live here. People don't understand tariffs. I'm not saying I understand better than everybody else, because I don't. But I think their eyes glaze over and they're being fed by most of the media a one-sided story really about what all this means without anybody explaining it to them in the way you're trying to do. And they're not getting a full picture of it. So they're going to associate anything bad that happens economically in the next month or so for sure with this threat of tariffs, when that may or may not be to blame for anything that happens.
But all that matters is, I would probably say September of 2026. That's all that matters. Trump could literally do anything. Well, not literally, but he could do most things right now and get away with it.
Just so long as the economy is okay in 18 months, well,
September.
12 months from now, 16 months from now, just so long as the economy's okay, then the Republicans have a shot in the midterms. And if the Republicans actually do well in the midterms, then the president gets to continue his agenda with, at least not a hostile Congress that's going to try and impeach him every chance.
Don't you think Republicans weirdly underperform, though, in recent history at times when they should excel, when we're looking at what they ought to be able to do in Congress?
Absolutely.
What about, I mean, we won. So one issue people keep bringing up is the census issue that overcounted blue states in 2020. And that's going to get corrected in 2030. And we're going to see a massive shift in terms of electoral college votes and congressional seats. So it's going to get real interesting after 2030. So that midterm, I don't know if when the census actually kicks in for districts, but Ezra Klein basically lays it out. Bill Maher lays it out. Democrats, it's game over. They're never going to win again.
Oh, I heard that the
so long
party's splitting. Have you guys heard much about that?
Oh, they're fighting. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean they're
like a Tea Party coming out.
Yeah,
the Democratic Party.
Yeah, they're fighting each other. My favorite was, we talked about this yesterday, that cat Abba Ghazaleh, is that her name? She's got a keffiyeh on her wall in Illinois' 9th district, which has the highest density of Jews in Illinois. So all these people are coming out being like, she keeps talking about, she's a progressive, she's going to primary the incumbent Democrat, and she's like, I'm not going to use a consultant. We don't need any of these grifter class consultants. And it's like, lady, you needed one to be like, you are trying to run for Congress in the densest Jewish population in Illinois, and you have a keffiyeh behind you. Her dad's Palestinian. I don't think she can win, but I certainly hope she runs. I hope AOC props her up. I hope all of the squad and the left progressives prop her up, because it will make all the moderate Democrats recoil and run to Donald Trump.
I'm open to seeing like the slithering, vestige of whatever that Democratic Party had become, kind of fade away, because it was just big bureaucracy controlled. And I don't even know if most of them even realize that they've been part of that. But, inevitably, I'd like to see it fade away. Whether or not, like, what's coming next, I guess that's a big concern.
Biggest thing, they let the opportunity slip away during this transition where so many people on the traditional left started to merge with people on the right when it came to COVID issues. They still differ on key things, like RFK Jr. may not agree with a lot of conservatives on environmental issues, but on issues that they have deemed to be now more important and more impactful to their families, they have come together. And Kennedy wanted to work with the Democrat Party, as you know. A lot of these Democrats who've broken away wanted to work with the Democratic Party and were rejected, or the fate might have been totally different if those forces had joined on the left instead of on the right.
Do you think that that's going to be a phenomenon moving forward? Because we talk about the kind of the civil war that's happening in the Democrat Party between the actual progressives and the far left. And Tim was talking about some polling numbers that said the very far left and the 30% want to keep it what they're doing. Some think that the Democrats didn't go far enough, but there was a significant portion, probably a third, that thought that they went too far, and that was why they lost. Those people seem not ready to, come over to vote for Republicans yet, but with the historic unpopular situation that the Democrats have, is it your sense that that's going to be something moving forward? Or
I think it's a problem for them. The doubling down, I mean, that's a legitimate position for some people to take, that this is our true purpose and this is what we ought to do. But that's starting to look more and more fringe, and they see that they have, Republicans have peeled off important support because of that. And I think that's going to continue. I was getting calls on C-SPAN the other day. They have, I don't know if you know, a Democrat line, Republican line, and independent line. They take calls. The Democrats sounded like Republicans when they were calling in and asking about media issues and the things I cover with the health and science stuff. And everybody sounded like they were almost on the same page. And it was more on the middle or middle-leaning to conservative side, even these Democrats who are calling in. So I think that's a bad signal for them.
Back in the 80s, there used to be conservative Democrats, and there were Democrats that would actually be conservative, at least by their standards. I don't think that that's out of the question anymore, is it?
Well, I just think they're feeling more and more alienated if they are. Yeah,
I'm serious. I'm wondering if the Democrats that don't want to be associated with the far left are going to quit, or are they going to become like the blue dog Democrats, like they used to be?
Manchin quit. Joe Manchin.
He's not the only one. Kristen Sinema is fairly moderate, and she didn't quit.
No, she quit the Democratic Party.
Did she quit the Democratic Party?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't.
A long time ago. Yes, really? Sinema. Was it like two years ago she quit?
There's a desire to want to stay.
Jeff Van Drew quit.
But
if you're a Democrat and you are trying to be moderate in any way, you cannot win. You cannot win.
They have super delegates. It's so crazy.
Well, that's
they
for president.
Override and control their candidate.
But that's for president. We're talking about everyone else. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.